She thought helping an elderly neighbor cook dinner would be simple. What she discovered in that kitchen changed everything she thought she knew about loneliness. So I'm 16, and I live in this apartment building where most of the residents are pretty old. There's this one neighbor, Mrs. Chun, who lives 2 doors down from us. She's got to be in her 90s or something. I see her sometimes in the hallway and she always smiles at me, but we never really talked much beyond just saying hi. Last Tuesday, I'm coming home from school and I see her at the bottom of the stairs with like 4 heavy grocery bags. She's just standing there staring at them like she's trying to figure out how she's going to get them up to the third floor. No elevator in our building, by the way, which sucks for everyone, but especially for her. I walk up and offer to carry them for her. She looks at me with these eyes that just light up and she starts thanking me in this mix of English and Mandarin. I take the bags and they're actually really heavy. I'm thinking, how was she even planning to do this by herself? We get to her apartment and she opens the door and the smell hits me immediately. It smells like my childhood somehow, even though I've never been in her place before. Like spices and tea and old wood. She's thanking me again and I'm about to leave, but then she asks if I want to stay for dinner. She says she's making dumplings and could use the company. I text my mom, and she says it's fine, so I stay. Mrs. Chun takes me into her kitchen, and it's tiny but organized in this really specific way. Everything has its place. She's got all these ingredients laid out already, and she tells me she was going to make dinner anyway, but now it'll be more fun with help. She starts showing me how to make the dumpling dough from scratch. I've only ever had frozen dumplings that you just throw in boiling water, so this is completely new to me. She's mixing flour and water and salt, and her hands are so wrinkled and shaky, but she moves with this confidence like she's done this 10,000 times, which she probably has. While the dough is resting, she makes the filling. Pork and cabbage and garlic and ginger and all these other things. She lets me chop the cabbage, and I'm going really slow because I don't want to cut myself. She's talking the whole time about how her mother taught her to make dumplings when she was 7 years old back in China. She tells me about growing up in a small village and how making dumplings was this family thing they'd do together every week. Then she starts talking about her son. She says he lives in California and he's very successful. He's a doctor. She's so proud when she talks about him. She says he's very busy, but he calls her and sometimes visits. The way she talks about him sounds like she's trying to convince herself as much as she's trying to convince me. The dough is ready now, and she shows me how to roll it out and cut circles. Then comes the hard part, which is folding them. She demonstrates and makes it look so easy. She pinches the edges together in this pattern, and it turns into this perfect little dumpling. I try to copy her, and mine looks like a blob. She laughs, but not in a mean way. She says it takes practice, and that her first dumplings looked worse than mine. We're sitting at her small kitchen table folding these dumplings together, and she's telling me more stories about her husband who died 12 years ago, about coming to America in the 70s, about learning English by watching soap operas. She's got this whole life I never knew about, and I'm realizing I walk past people every single day who have these entire universes inside them, and I just never think about it. She gets up to get something from her bedroom, and I'm left alone at the table, still trying to fold these dumplings properly. There's this old cardboard box on the counter that I didn't notice before. As I'm reaching for more filling, my elbow bumps it, and it tips over. Letters spill out everywhere. I start picking them up to put them back, and that's when I notice they're all addressed to the same person. David Chen, her son, but there's something else. Every single envelope has a stamp on it that says return to sender. Not just one or two, all of them. I look at the dates and they go back years. There's got to be at least 50 letters here, maybe more. My hands are shaking as I'm holding these letters because I'm starting to understand what this means. I hear her footsteps coming back and I quickly try to shove them back in the box, but I'm not fast enough. She walks in and sees me there with the letters in my hands and her face just drops. For a few seconds, neither of us says anything. I'm frozen and I don't know what to do. I want to apologize, but I also don't know what I'm apologizing for. She slowly walks over and sits back down at the table. She doesn't look angry. She just looks tired. She speaks quietly and tells me that her son stopped talking to her 15 years ago. There was a fight about something she can't even remember anymore. Maybe it was about his career or his wife or money or all of those things. He said he needed space, and that space just never ended. She says she writes him a letter every month on the 15th. She tells him about her life and asks about his. She tells him she loves him and that she forgives him for whatever it was they fought about. She sends them to his address in California. They all come back, every single one. He moved and didn't give her his new address. Or maybe he tells the post office to return them. She doesn't know. But she keeps writing them anyway because she says it makes her feel less alone. Like she's still talking to him even if he never reads the words. I don't know what to say. I'm 16 and I've never had to deal with something like this. I've gotten mad at my parents before, but I can't imagine just cutting them out of my life completely. And I definitely can't imagine being on the other side of that. Being the parent who keeps reaching out and getting nothing back. She tells me that when she talks about him visiting and calling, she knows people probably realize she's lying. But saying it out loud makes it feel real for a moment. It makes her feel less pathetic. Those were her words, not mine. She called herself pathetic, and I wanted to tell her she wasn't. But I didn't know how. She asked me not to tell anyone about the letters, and I promise I won't. Then she does something that surprises me. She just goes back to folding dumplings like nothing happened. She picks up the dumpling wrapper and shows me again how to do the folds properly. Her hands are steady and she's humming this little tune. I follow her lead and go back to folding. We sit there for another hour just making dumplings in silence mostly. Sometimes she corrects my technique. Sometimes she hums. The box of letters is back on the counter, and we both pretend it's not there. When all the dumplings are folded, she boils them and we eat together. They're really good, even the ugly ones I made. She tells me I'm a natural and that I should come back and cook with her again. I tell her I will, and I actually mean it. Before I leave, she hugs me and thanks me for the company. She says it gets quiet in the apartment and having someone to talk to was nice. I hug her back and tell her I had fun, which is true, even with the sad parts. I walk back to my apartment and I'm thinking about those letters the whole time. About how she writes them every month knowing they'll come back. About how she still talks about her son like he's present in her life when he's not. About how loneliness can make you do things that seem strange to other people but make perfect sense. When you're living inside it. The next day at school, I'm distracted. My friends are talking about normal teenager stuff and I'm thinking about Mrs. Chun sitting in her apartment, alone writing letters to someone who doesn't want to hear from her. It makes all the drama at school feel really small. I start going over to her apartment twice a week after school. We don't always cook. Sometimes we just drink tea and talk. She teaches me Mandarin words and I teach her slang that makes her laugh. She still talks about her son sometimes like he's around and I don't correct her anymore. I just listen. I haven't seen any new letters yet, but I know she's still writing them. On the 15th of each month, she's a little quieter than usual, and I know that's her letter day. I don't bring it up. Some things don't need to be talked about. My mom asks why I spend so much time with Mrs. Chun, and I don't really know how to explain it. I just tell her that Mrs. Chun is nice and I like hanging out with her. Which is true, but it's not the whole truth. The whole truth is that being around her reminds me that everyone is dealing with something heavy. That the old lady you pass in the hallway has an entire story full of pain and love. And loss that you know nothing about. It's been 3 months now since that first dinner. Mrs. Chun seems happier, or maybe I just know her better so I can see the happiness that was always there under the sadness. She still makes dumplings, and I'm actually getting pretty good at folding them now. She jokes that soon I won't need her anymore, and I tell her that's not true. Last week she told me something while we were cooking. She said that even though her son doesn't read the letters, writing them helps her. It's like therapy or prayer or something. She gets to say all the things she would say if he was there. She gets to tell him she's proud of him even if he never knows it. And having me around has helped too, because now she has someone real to talk to instead of just a letter that goes nowhere. I think about my own family more now. About how easy it would be to take them for granted or let some stupid fight turn into years of silence. I'm nicer to my parents even when they're annoying. I text my grandparents more. Because I see what it looks like when those connections break, and how much it hurts. Mrs. Chen is teaching me more than just how to cook. She's teaching me about loneliness and resilience, and how people keep going even when the people they love most have left them behind. She writes those letters every month knowing they'll come back, and she still does it because hope is stronger than logic sometimes. I don't know if her son will ever reach out. I don't know if he even knows how much she misses him. But I do know that she's not alone anymore, at least a few times a week. And maybe that's not enough, but it's something. Sometimes being there is all you can do. Sometimes just showing up and folding dumplings with someone is the most important thing you can possibly do. Yeah, I thought I was just helping an old lady carry groceries. Turns out I was walking into something much bigger than that. And I'm glad I did. Hit subscribe if you want more real stories like this.